Okay, so I pulled an herb out of the hat. So I felt like that left me with a really wide range of opportunity. And it sounds like everybody else in the world knew that this was an herb, but I did not. I thought it was just a confection. So I did a presentation on the Marsh Mallow, also known as the Althea officinalis. The first word comes from the Greek althene, which is to heal, which we'll see later. It comes from the Malvaceae family, or the mallow family. The hibiscus and hollyhock are kind of obvious ones. If you look at those flowers, they are similar to the mallow flower. But some ones that surprised me were cotton and okra and linden and even cacao. The chocolate bean. Those are all part of the same mallow family. Ooh, oh no, my battery's running low. Physical characteristics. It's a herbaceous, oh gosh, what's this called? Dicotyledon is how you say that. It's a perennial with complete flower parts, so that means it's self-fertilizing and self-seeding. It is monodelphious, or the stamen is monodelphious, which I've learned that means that the filaments of the stamen have fused to form a tube, which if you looked at a hibiscus, you can kind of see it in this slide. If you looked at a hibiscus, you can sort of see that it's one single unit and the anthers are all in the end. It'll grow to 3 to 4 feet tall. It's got soft velvety leaves, kind of a fuzzy texture, and those are called stellated trichomes, the little hairs. It prefers soft, sandy soil, and you can imagine it's most commonly found in the marshes and on the sides of riverbanks. It's got a lot of pretty common medicinal and culinary uses. All parts of the plant are edible, so you can use the leaves, the stem, and what is more common is the roots. The entire plant contains high levels of a substance called mucilage. All the parts of the plant are edible, the leaves, the stem, and most commonly the roots. The entire plant, but more predominantly the roots, contains mucilage, which is a highly viscous fluid. The plants use it for thickening membranes and storing water. If you think about cracking open aloe vera, what you're seeing is a lot of mucilage. It's used in medicine as a demulcent, which is all of my nursing friends in this class would probably know this better than I, but it's used to soothe irritation, like an irritated throat, for example. And in cooking, it can be used as an emulsifier or a thickening agent. See if this will advance. Okay. Here you're seeing a lozenge that has marshmallow in it, which is an example of how it's used for soothing, say, a sore throat or irritated mucous membranes. People use the leaves for a tea for the same purpose. They used to use mucilage for abrasions and burns and bug bites. They would use it as a topical. But what most people are familiar with is probably its culinary use. And the reason why I wanted to do this presentation is because it's used for making marshmallows. very common confection. The original marshmallows were said to be developed by the Egyptians. They would mix the crushed roots with honey, and it would be kind of a sticky confection, specifically for the upper crust. And then the French developed it further. They created something called pâte du guimauve. I don't speak French, but that's my best guess, guimauve. That's just paste of the marshmallow. Nowadays, they use gelatin and egg whites instead of this marshmallow root to do commercial marshmallow production as a thickening agent. Speaking of French, though, we're going to take a very short detour to some etymology and chemistry history. This gentleman's name is William Henry Perkins, and when he was 18 years old, and on Easter holiday, he was trying to develop, of all things you want to do on your Easter holiday, he was trying to develop synthetic quinine, which is what they used to treat malaria back in the day. And instead, he came up with a sticky brown substance that he was going to toss because he thought he'd made a mistake. And he dissolved it in alcohol to be able to clean out his beaker. And it turned bright purple. And he ended up developing the first synthetic material dye. And it was this vibrant purple color. And so he called it mauvine instead of quinine. You know, it was mauvine. And which is the French word for mauve, which means mallow, and it was after a purple mallow plant. So that's the little tie-in right there, which I thought was really, really fun. And you can see the similarity. He was spot on. The guy should have been a designer. If you yourself wanted to grow marshmallow, which I'm trying to currently, I have a little creek behind my house. The seeds, which I've learned, require cold stratification. You can plant them directly in the ground, but if you want to simulate a winter environment, if you bought the seeds and they're dry in a packet, and you want to simulate, you know, a winter season, just put them in your refrigerator with a dampened paper towel to help consistent humidity for 4 to 6 weeks. They also, you can propagate these plants with root division. So if once the plant is established, you've planted it in the ground and it's grown for 2 seasons, you can then dig it up and divide the roots, or divide the plant by the roots and continue on as an additional piece. It'll grow from zones 3 to 9, which is a pretty wide range. It's tall, very tall plant, about 4 feet tall. It'll bloom from say like June to August. And that's when you'll see those pinkish white purple blooms. It needs full sun to partial shade. There has been success with full shade, but it says it prefers full sun, and as before, it prefers the sandy, moist soil. It is a wetlands plant, so it needs lots and lots of moisture. And these guys will get kind of bushy, so you want to plant them about 2 feet apart. But happily, like I said, they're a complete flower and they're self-seeding. So you really don't have to do anything after you plant your initial sections. And if you want to save the seeds, they are very apparent seed pods that dry out at the end of the season. So it's a pretty handy plant. It's got a lot of uses. I'm excited to see what happens. They're currently in the refrigerator, so I will report back because I didn't stratify early enough. But that is the end of my presentation. Thank you, guys.